The Israeli military has expanded its attacks in the Lebanese capital. For the first time, airstrikes have hit an area of Beirut outside the armed group's stronghold. Israel says it's targeting Hezbollah sites. It bombed an apartment block near the city centre, killing 3 people. There's significant damage to the building in the Kola area. Israeli forces have increased their offensive since killing Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah on Friday. At least 136 people have been killed over the past 24 hours. Well, as fears of an Israeli ground offensive increase, airstrikes continue to pound targets of Lebanon. More people are fleeing, many of them with only the clothes on their backs. And the Israeli military says it's carried out airstrikes on the Yemeni port city of Hodeidah, further heightening fears of expanding the conflict. The city is controlled by Iran-backed Houthi fighters. At least 4 people were killed. Let's bring in Al Jazeera's Zaina Hodda. She joins us live now from Beirut. Zaina, so first to some breaking news out of Lebanon. We're hearing the head of Hamas in Lebanon has been killed in an Israeli strike. What more do we know, Zaina?
Yes, Hamas's commander in Lebanon, Fatah Sharif, has been killed along with his family, his wife and his 2 children. It was announced by the Palestinian movement a short while ago. It is not the first time a commander or a member of Hamas has been killed in 11 months of fighting, but this is the first time Israel carries out an assassination inside a Palestinian refugee camp where tens of thousands of Palestinian refugees live. In January, Hamas's deputy leader Salah al-Aruri was killed in an Israeli strike in Beirut's southern suburbs. We've seen commanders killed outside camps, for example, in the southern city of Sidon. Either they would have just left the camp or they were making their way back to the camp. But this is the first time a strike within a camp. There are quite a number of camps across the country housing Palestinian refugees who have been here since 1948. They're descendants of those who were forced out of Palestine in 1948. And I can tell you, I have been speaking to people inside the camps in recent months, and really their greatest concern was, what if this conflict spreads to the camps? Where are we going to go? So could this be just a one-off strike or a message from Israel that there's no red lines any longer, and if they want to go after a Palestinian leader, even inside the camp, they will do so?
Yeah, and Zaina, how significant then is this Israeli airstrike in the Kola district of Beirut where you are, and what's the messaging from Israel behind it then?
Well, it's significant because of its location, because of the message, and because of the target. We are in the heart of the Lebanese capital. Israel has been focusing its attacks in the southern suburbs of Beirut, and it has been focusing really its attacks on Hezbollah. They killed 3 members of the PFLP, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. This is a Palestinian group which has really not been involved in the ongoing confrontations along the border. Over the past 11 months, groups like Hamas have fired rockets across the border, but not the PFLP. So clearly this is being seen as a very Israel being emboldened, acting with little restraint, because, and this is the feeling here, because Hezbollah has still not responded meaningfully to this wave of attacks in various areas across the country. But even if Hezbollah is able to do so, and if it is able to regroup after suffering a series of setbacks, if it does strike, for example, Tel Aviv, because the equation for Hezbollah has always been, you hit Beirut, we hit Tel Aviv, then what kind of counter-response will there be from Israel? There could be carpet bombing. So Hezbollah too is in a very difficult position. But what is clear, and the fear is now, is that Israel may go after Hezbollah members outside the southern suburbs of Beirut, because many people really have left that area and moved to other areas, either in Beirut or elsewhere across the country.
And Zaina, just a final thought to you. We're hearing the French foreign minister has arrived in Beirut. Is there still then a small chance for diplomacy to end the conflict?
Well, he is the first foreign dignitary to arrive since this major escalation began 2 weeks ago, this new phase in the conflict. Now, France, of course, doesn't have much influence. It is the United States, but it has become clear from statements made by American officials that they are supporting Israel's right to, quote, defend itself. So the feeling here is that Israel is not interested in a ceasefire. In fact, the Israeli foreign minister has been quoted as saying that really it's no longer enough for Hezbollah to pull back from the border in line with some of the clauses of UN Resolution 1701. And what they want really is Resolution 1559 to be implemented, which calls on Hezbollah to disarm. So you feel that Israel does have the upper hand, it has the momentum, and the feeling here is that it will not stop until it all but destroys Hezbollah. And there is no doubt that its military leadership has all but been eliminated. Now, groups like Hezbollah, yes, they have a political party as well. They have members in parliament and in governments, but their armed wing can go underground. The biggest question is, will they declare defeat? This is a group which is unlikely to do so, and that's why the real fear is this conflict, this war, the trajectory will be one of escalation.
All right, Zaina Hodder, live for us there in the Lebanese capital. Zaina, thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.